reading. My grade level is second grade. And my objective is to gain an understanding of story elements and identifying elements of different stories. The fiction story elements are plot, setting, characters, problem and solution, and theme. In Learn Tigers I Can, plot is the main events in the story in the order that it happened. When you summarize a story, you are explaining the plot. Often words like first, next, then, and finally, or beginning, middle, and end are used to summarize the series or story's plot. Stone Soup plot is first, Molly and Max stopped at a village to find food and shelter after a long journey. Next, all the villagers were dishonest and said they didn't have any food. They didn't want to share with Molly and Max. Then, Molly and Max came up with a plan to get the villagers to share by making up a recipe for stone soup. They told the villagers they would share the soup if they could find all the ingredients to make it. Finally, the villagers shared their food and made the stone soup for the entire village to share and offered Molly and Max a place to stay as a way of thanking them for the soup. Molly and Max finally had food and shelter. Setting is where the story takes place. Stories can have more than one setting if the characters are traveling from place to place, or there are more than one characters. The places where most of the story takes place is the setting. The Stone Soup setting. In the story Stone Soup, the setting is a village. Molly and Max stop in the village after a long journey. Characters. The people or animals who are in the story. The main character or characters are the people or animals the story is mostly about. They usually have a problem to solve and a lesson to learn. In Stone Soup, the characters are the butcher, the baker, the farmer, and other villagers. In the story Stone Soup, the main characters are Molly and Max. The moral of the story is the lesson which the characters learn by the end of the story. Finding the solution to the problem the characters have is usually how the character or reader learns the lesson. The Stone Soup moral. The moral to the story Stone Soup is to be honest and share with others, and they will in turn share with you. The villagers in Stone Soup learn this lesson. Does anybody want to come up for the activity? Does anybody know what moral is? Which moral is under?
Did I come up?
Yeah. Whichever one you think moral is. So the lesson of the story, the animals or people in the story, what takes place in the story, or where the story takes place. That's correct. All right, anybody want to come up and know where setting is? Also correct. Where the story takes place. All right. Animals in a story and what takes place in a story. What do you think characters is under? Anybody want to come up? Correct. And then what takes place in a story is plot. All right. Two common stories that we all know: Goldilocks and Three Little Pigs. Does anybody want to come up and compare and contrast the two? Maybe write down a similarity or difference. Yeah, anything. Anybody else want to come up? It can be anything.
Seriously.
They all have a wolf.
Wait.
Well,
Does
there's
Goldilocks
bears
have
and
a name?
Goldilocks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
that
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, so then I'll just.
We're only college students.
Wait.
I know.
Guess I never read Goldilocks.
Now put bear. Good job. Look at that. Ooh, good one.
Alright. Next, I have a quiz. So, what is the setting? Does anybody want to come up?
Wait, just.
You just tap on which one you think is correct. Question 2, what is a character?
We're cheating.
Alright, that's the end of my presentation.